That contractor is going to be one of the richest men anywhere in the world after he finishes the Federal Reserve. The man is totally incompetent. Jerome, too late, Powell, is totally incompetent. And he's got to get out of office pretty fast. He's doing a bad job, but he's also done a bad job in shepherding the construction of that building. You know, they ripped down a part of that building, and it was they say it's one of the nicest buildings in Washington. They ripped it down. So we feel, and we don't feel, we know that congressional approval is not necessary.
A federal judge issued a direct order, stop building. And Trump's answer essentially was no. Now, before you decide how you feel about that, let's be very precise about what's actually happening here. Because this is not just a political story. This is a constitutional question. And it's one that Trump answered in real time, standing in front of reporters, reading from a piece of paper he had just written out himself. Here's the setup. The White House has been under major construction. A new ballroom, privately funded, is being built on the grounds. $300 to $400 million. Not a single taxpayer dollar, according to Trump. All donations from what he called, quote, great people, rich people, big companies. And a federal judge looked at that project and said, you need congressional approval to build this. Trump's response? He called the judge wrong. He said he wrote down part of the ruling himself, and then this is where it gets interesting. He said the judge's own order contains a carve-out, a loophole, one that allows construction to continue, and he was going to read it to the room, word for word.
I see right here, I just wrote it out. He said we need congressional approval. Well, we built many things at the White House over the years. They don't get congressional approval when they build in the White House. It's totally separate. And especially when it's a donation. I mean, the ballroom is a donation. It's gotten great reviews. People love it. And presidents for 150 years have wanted this ballroom to be built because when we have President Xi or other presidents or prime ministers coming, we don't have a big room. We have the East Room, which is very small. And he said we need congressional approval. He also said, but this is positive for us, I'm allowed, that meaning we are allowed to continue building as necessary to, let's see, what is that? To cover the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So it says here very carefully, the safety and security have to be protected of the White House grounds. Well, that's what we're doing because everything's bulletproof glass, et cetera, including the ballroom. And then it goes construction and all of the things necessary. It says personal safety of the president and his staff are a part of that. So it talks about that we're allowed to continue building. In other words, he put an order on, and even that he gave 14 days. We don't need it because that's what we're doing. He's allowed to continue building as necessary. And when it talks about the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So just so you know, I wrote some of the thing down. We have a drone-proof roof, and it talks about the president and his staff. Well, we don't have a lot of bulletproof glass. The White House was built a long time ago. This has the highest level of, in fact, they call this grass, the glass, it's bulletproof and it's ballistic proof. It's very thick. It's like that. And it's going 45 feet high, and every window is covered, every door is covered. The roof is drone-proof. We have secure air handling systems. You know, bad things happen in the air if you have bad people. We have bio-defense all over. We have secure telecommunications and communications all over. We have bomb shelters that we're building. We have a hospital and very major medical facilities that we're building. We have all of these things. So that's called, I'm allowed to continue building as necessary. So think of that, for the safety of the president. So we have all these things. So on that, we're okay. where he's totally wrong, and he made, a statement that's fine. But I'll give you an example. You have right here $300 to $400 million, depending on finishes. If I use very expensive marble, if I use very expensive wall coatings, if I could bring it up to 400. Otherwise, we're right now ahead of schedule. We're under budget. But depending on finishes, from $300 to $400 million are being given by great people, people that you all know. Rich people, rich companies, big companies. They wanted to see this built because every president, literally for 150 years, has needed a space like this. Many of you have gone to the tent when we have a president of a big country or somebody being honored of great distinction, and they sit in a tent, and if it rains, you get soaked because the grass gets wet here very fast. It's a wet area. They used to call it a wetland, but I guess they don't do that for the White House, but it's essentially a wetland. And when it rains, you're in trouble. The water can go up to 3 to 4 inches over their shoes. That's not a good feeling for who was Prince Charles, who will be here next couple of weeks, is King Charles, who's a great guy. We don't want him to sit in a pool of water. And they've been wanting this for 150 years, and we're building it, and it's covered perfectly. What's not covered perfectly is the fact that the judge said we need congressional approval. Many things have been built in the White House. They haven't gotten congressional approval, especially when the money is being not put up by the taxpayer. The taxpayer's not putting up a dime. This building was necessary for many years by the fact that I've built many ballrooms, and I built many things, and I know how to build. I'm not building the Federal Reserve where the guy's spending $4 billion for a tiny little building. $4 billion for the Federal Reserve building.
Let's slow down on what just happened there, because it's remarkable. A federal judge issued an order telling Trump to stop building. And Trump, standing at a podium holding a piece of paper, found language inside that order that he says allows construction to continue. He didn't just defy the ruling. He weaponized it. The argument goes like this. The judge's order contains an exemption for construction that protects the safety and security of the White House and the president. Trump's position is that the ballroom qualifies because it includes bulletproof glass, drone-proof roofing, biodefense systems, bomb shelters, a hospital. In other words, this isn't a ballroom, this is a security installation, and the judge said security construction can continue. Now, is that a legitimate legal argument? We don't know yet. That's for the courts to decide. But here's what we do know, based entirely on what was said at this press conference. Trump is not stopping. He said the 14-day window the judge gave doesn't apply, because under his reading of the order, he's already in compliance. He also said the total cost is between $300 and $400 million. Depending, he noted, on the marble and the wall finishes. And he reminded the room that this project has been wanted by presidents for 150 years. That when it rains at the White House during state events, the water can come up over the shoes of foreign dignitaries. That King Charles, he's coming in a few weeks, shouldn't have to sit in a tent. These are the arguments Trump is making. And buried inside them is a real constitutional fight. Does a president need Congress's permission to accept private donations and build on White House grounds? That question doesn't have a clean answer, and it's going to be answered in court. Here is where this stands. A federal judge said, "Stop building." Trump said the judge is wrong, we're appealing, and the order itself lets us keep going. The project is $300 to $400 million. Privately funded. No taxpayer money, according to Trump. The legal question, whether that exempts it from congressional approval, has not been resolved. Trump's national security framing is either a legitimate constitutional argument or it's a creative reread of a court order designed to run out the clock on an appeal. Depending on your view of this president, you'll land in one of those two places. But what is not in dispute is that a sitting president was told by a federal judge to stop construction on White House grounds. and he went to a podium, read from the order, and said he's continuing. That's the story. This case is going back to court, and when it does, we'll be covering it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next update. And drop a comment. Do you think Trump's security argument holds up legally? Or is this just a $400 million ballroom with a legal workaround painted on the side? Let us know below.